Yoda, Yona, and Yoni are not different things. They're just yo with things attached to them so that they can properly connect to different kinds of words. 皆さんこんにちは。元気ですか? Last time we learned how to put yoda at the end of a sentence to mean it seems something something, or that the appearance is something something. And the whole reason why we can do that is because yo as a word means the appearance of something. If you haven't watched that video, I think it'll be better if you do that first. But anyway, 今日は we're looking at ような and ように, which always come in the middle of a sentence. Now, this is going to look unnecessarily complicated if you look at ような and ように as fixed phrases on their own, because ようだ, ような and ように are not different things. They're just よ with things attached to them so that they can properly connect to different kinds of words. So instead of seeing them as fixed phrases, I want you to look at it as よ plus whatever particle works in that situation. Okay ですか? Let's look at よ plus な first. Think about it. When do you normally see a な? Like 元気な, 簡単な. It's with な adjectives, right? And normally な adjectives are used like 元気な人, 綺麗な街. The adjective always comes before the noun. But the problem with adjectives is they limit you to whatever adjective that you know. What if you want to be super expressive and poetic, but you don't have the right adjective for it? That's when you can use よ. Let's say you went to a very beautiful city, like this JK, 女子高生. この女の子はとても綺麗な街に行きました. But how beautiful was it? It was like a picture book. Picture book は絵本ですね. So now you want to say that it was like a picture book. Okay. とても絵本な街に行きました. Well, you can't do that because 絵本 is not a not adjective, right? It's a noun. So what do? You have to use ような. You have to say that the machi was like a 絵本. It appeared to be a picture book. And that's when you use よ with a な to turn any word into an adjective. So what you do is 絵本のような街に行きました. So that means I went to a city that was like a picture book. Now you might be thinking, why not just do what we learned last class and use ようだ? Like you could say あの街は絵本のようだった. Well, you could do that, and that's perfectly fine. But if you use 絵本のような街, this one, then you can add whatever you want after it, like 絵本のような街に行きました or 絵本のような街に住みたい. It just depends on what you want to say. One thing that I also want you to remember is 絵本のような, since it has な at the end, this whole thing is treated like an adjective. You've basically created a customized adjective by saying that something is like something. Now let's look at more examples. はい、この女の人、ちょっと変ですね. Her mouth is a bit weird. 女の人が写真のために表情を作っています. 表情 is a facial expression. So this 女の人 is making a facial expression for a photo. So now you want to describe what kind of mouth she's making, because the noun we have here is 口 and the keyword is アヒル. Ahiru means duck. So her mouth looks like a duck, right? So we're going to say アヒル something something 口をしています. So we can use よ and we can turn it into an adjective. So the adjective that we're going to make here is going to be アヒルのような口をしています. If you're wondering why we use の here, it's because アヒル is a noun. And between a noun and a よ you always need to have a の. はい、次です。男の子が something something パンを食べています。これ見たことありますか? Have you seen this パン? It was like trending on TikTok for a while. 10円パンと言います。Because it looks like 10円。でも本当は500円ぐらいします。ちょっとずるいですよね. It feels a bit unfair. じゃあ、we're describing パン here. We want to say that the パン looks like 10円. だから10円のようなパンを食べています. One common mistake I've seen is accidentally reversing the nouns and saying something like パンのような10円 or 口のようなアヒル. And this mistake is completely understandable because when you think of it in English terms, it's like bread that looks like 10 yen or mouth that looks like a duck. But remember, in Japanese, the adjective always comes before the noun, and ような here is behaving like an adjective. The thing that you're describing is always going to come at the end. So far, all of our examples have had no in them, but when you use ような, even though you're always describing a noun, you don't have to use a noun to describe it. You can also use a verb. How? For example, if you see someone who's extremely exhausted and looks like their life has been sucked out of them, you could say 地獄にいたような顔をしている. But don't use this in real life. It sounds very anime. Let's look at some more practical examples. はい、この人、何々々ポーズをしています. He's holding some kind of pose. 何をしていますか? He's thinking, right? Now we want to say that his pose is like he's thinking. So we would say 考えているようなポーズをしています. So you can use any form of verb. You can use continuous form. You can use the past tense. You can use the present tense. And you don't need a particle. はい、次です。顔をしています. Okay. この状況, this situation is 田中さんは仕事で間違いをしました. He has made a grave mistake at work. そして上司が怒りました. ボスが田中さんに怒りましたね. はい。じゃあ田中さんはどんな顔をしていますか? You could have all sorts of answers for this one. You could just say 悲しそうな顔をしています. His face looks like he's sad. But we want to use a verb and we want to use ような. So let's just use 怒られた. 怒られたような顔をしています. His face looks like he has been scolded. ということです。ようなの使い方わかりましたか? Basically, because the な turns よ into something like an adjective, it's always used to describe a noun. And you can describe a noun by using another noun or by using a verb. Now, when you change the な in ような to a に, your horizon expands a lot. You can describe almost anything except nouns. And the reason why we can do that is because something に can turn words into adverbs. And what do adverbs do? They describe verbs, adjectives, and also other adverbs. For example, 急 means sudden. 急には suddenly. 例えば、急に走る to run suddenly. 静か is quiet. 静かに is quietly. 静かに話した is to talk quietly. You get the vibe, right? So, ように can mean doing something with the appearance of something. It sounds a bit wordy, but let's look at some examples. はい。この人はメガネをしていますね。そしてこのメガネが光っています. It's shining. ちょっとアニメみたい. It looks like something out of an anime. So now the thing that we're describing is 光っている. So unlike ような, where the thing we were describing was a noun, now we're going to have to describe a verb. Okay, we want to say that it's shining like it does in anime. So you would say アニメのように光っている. Again, we have a no here because アニメ is a noun. But we use ように because the thing we're describing is a verb. わかりましたか? 簡単ですよ. It's not that hard. はい、次です。だるいおじさん. だるいって知ってますか? If you know Gudetama, he's always だるい. Very lazy, don't want to do anything. そしてこの動物 this animal 怠け者と言います literally a lazy person or like a lazy being sloth. Okay, we want to say that this おじさん is だるい but what kind of だるい is he? He's a だるい like 怠け者. So we're describing the adjective. We would say 怠け者のようにだるいおじさん. わかりますか? So far we've described verb, we've described an adjective, both using nouns. 次です。はい。おじいさんが見える. Okay, we're going to describe a verb again. But this time, we want to describe this verb using 飛んでいる. この人は飛んでいないですよね. He's not actually flying, but he looks like he's flying. So, we would use 飛んでいるように見える. Because 飛んでいる is a verb, you don't need a no. はい、here's a summary. It's a lot of information. でも、この最初の2つ, these first two are ような. 例えば、子供のような人. That's when you describe 人 using 子供. So you're saying that this person is like a child. 泣いたような目 You're describing 目 using 泣いた which is a verb, meaning eyes that look like they were crying. はい。ように子供のように遊ぶ We're describing 遊ぶ How do you 遊ぶ Like a child. 子供のように遊ぶ Use a no because it's a noun. はい。泣くように叫ぶ Again, we're describing a verb using another verb. So this person screams like as if they're crying, but they're not actually crying. はい。広いように感じる We're describing 感じる a verb using e adjective. 広いように感じる means it feels like it's spacious. Maybe it's not spacious, but it just feels like it's spacious. 好きなようにする。これは、again, we're describing する。How do you do as you like? So this means do as you like. 好きなようにしてください means do as you like. Do whatever you want. Okay, now let's try some questions. お隣のお風呂から何々々音が聞こえる。Okay, 音は sound ですね。お隣はlike neighbors. お隣さんは neighbor のことを言います。で、お風呂は bathtub. Okay, so this guy can hear some kind of sounds from the bathtub next doors. They're singing, so it must be like a singing kind of sound. 歌っているような、歌っているように、歌うのような。はい、which one is it? はい、答えは歌っているような。Why? Because first of all, we're describing 音, right? Which is a noun, so it has to be ような。Why is it not 歌うのような? Because there's an unnecessary no here. 歌う is a verb. You don't need a no after that. If it was 歌のような, that would have been okay. はい、次です。誰も山田さんの言ったことを聞きません。これ山田さんですね。No one's listening to what he's saying. 山田さんは何々々してくださいと怒りました。He snapped. 怒っています。He's angry. And he's saying something してください。Do something. What is he saying? 私が言ったような。私が言ったのように。私が言ったように。はい、答えは何ですか？はい、答えは私が言ったようにしてください。Okay, so here the word that we're describing is してください or する do. So again, it's a verb, right? If it's a verb, you can't use ような. It has to be ように. And you can't use 言ったのように because 言った is a verb and you don't put no after a verb. What does this sentence mean? This means Yamada-san is saying, do as I said. Do what I said. And he's angry about it. はい。ウィングスーツを使えば何々々飛べる。ウィングスーツ知ってますか？ I only recently found out about this. It's a special kind of suit used for skydiving. はい。飛べる。飛ぶ means to fly. So can fly ですね。ムササビのような。ムササビのように。ムササビように。ムササビ is what we call a flying squirrel. はい。じゃあ答えは何ですか？はい。答えはムササビのように。The word we're describing here is 飛べる which is a verb meaning it cannot be ような it has to be ように。ムササビ is a noun so there has to be a no after ムササビ。だから C じゃないですね。はい。最後です。12月は何々仕事のせいでずっと働いています。はい。Some grammar here. 何々のせい means due to, like, because of. And usually it's like a bad thing. 私のせい means my fault. ずっと働いています。working the whole time. はい。オプション。山のように、山のような、山なような、山のようの。答えは何ですか？はい、答えは山のような仕事のせいで。So this person is having to work the whole time in December because of mountain-like work, a huge amount of work ということです。どうでしたか？何問できましたか？ How many questions did you get? ようなとようにの使い方わかりましたか？ I hope this was enough to give you an idea of how to use ような and ように. And if you're following so far, the next variations should be quite easy as well. So ように has special use cases like ようにするとかようになる。でもそれは次のレッスンで勉強しましょう。ではまた。バイバイ。